Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the No Agendas podcast, where we go against the title from the first to the very last minute of the show. Just standard practice over here. So, no agendas literally means all the agendas in the world. But yeah, I got my man Elzo for his first one. So he's popping his cherry. Big up, Elzo, man. Welcome to this podcast.
Big up everyone, man. Thank you for
Uh,
having me.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Welcome, welcome. We've got obviously Brian as usual, regular. So welcome to this one, my guy. Same thing,
Absolutely.
same thing. We
Absolutely.
go. Yeah, a few topics to go through today. We're gonna start it nice and simple. It's a topic that people have been talking about, but my understanding is people seem to be avoiding this topic. So let's go ahead and talk about it. Jaden Sancho, my guy. Most technical player we've got at the club, I've been told. Listening to what people are saying, what I want to know is, do we keep Jaden Sancho or do we sell him for next season? Elzo, I'm going to start with you, my guy. Your first one, so you go first.
How do I put this without?
Be brutal. Be brutal. Bring it. Bring it on. Bring it on.
If it's brutal, we sell him. We sell him. But the balance side of me is, has he been here long enough to actually be finished with him? If you get what I mean.
Yeah.
But if I'm brutal and I'm guessing, are we going to get much more in the future? I would say no, and I would sell. But right now, I'm in a place where I don't know. Because once we get the final pieces together, maybe we'll see a bit more. So, but brutally honest, I would let him go, man, and I'll get something more suited to the league rather than saying someone better. If you get what I mean.
So is that your reasoning behind it? Are you saying you think Sancho is not conditioned enough for the league, for this Premier League?
I would say that type of player would thrive in a different league more. That's just my take on it personally.
Yeah. Nuruddin, welcome to the podcast, my guy. Welcome.
Big up everybody. Love and light.
Good to see
all my brothers.
Yeah, good to see you, man. Good to see you. Good to see you, man.
Okay.
Yeah, Elza, carry on, bro.
Yeah, like I was saying, I feel like someone like that would thrive in other leagues. The Premier League, it's ruthless, man. It's
do you think you've given him enough time to condition himself?
Well, this is the end of his second season, yeah?
Yes.
Yep.
If that was, I feel like if he was gonna come good or adapt better to the league, we'll start seeing it towards the end of this season. Like seeing a bit more.
I'll flip that question back to you, Elzo. Do you think that Jaden Sancho, if you look at him as a Manchester United player in this squad, do you think that he's improved from last season to this season as a Manchester United player? Do you feel that he's improved at all?
I don't. To be brutally honest, I don't. I feel like I saw better glimpses in his first season, to be honest. He looks like a player that's playing scared.
Yeah.
That makes sense, whether it's trying something or doing the short passes, the cutback and do the 5 yards. He looks like that kind of player right now. Whereas a player like that, you don't want him scared. You want him free. You want him to express himself fully. Whereas I don't know whether it's the defenders that's making him play like that, a system, the manager telling him to do that. I don't know. We don't know. But I just feel like the speed of the league, not saying that he's the slowest player, but just saying the physicality rather. It may be a bit much. It may be. But like I said, I don't want to be... So the balance me would say maybe another year. But brutally honest me, I'd say just move it on. Just move it on.
Okay, so red and blue pill question. Jaden Sancho, for you, sell.
Sell.
Okay, fair enough. Brian, I'm going to come to you next, my brother. Same question.
Yeah. Okay. So my initial thought is keep. I actually, but I feel like I'm probably a little too patient with some Manchester United players, and the reasoning being because just as a supporter of the club, I want to see every player that pulls on that shirt to succeed. I really do. Because if they succeed, then the club's going to succeed, and that's all I want at the end of the day. However, I do believe that Jaden Sancho in his second season, with his pedigree as a player across the continent of Europe, especially with what he did with Dortmund, and that level of productivity being the reason that Manchester United were looking to buy him in the first place, he's at serious risk right now of losing even second spot on that left side of the attack to Alejandro Garnacho, who's in his first season for Manchester United. And the reasoning, I think, is because Jaden Sancho is not as physically gifted of a winger as the likes of Antony, Rashford, and Garnacho are. I think he's not blessed with pace. I think he's very skilled in the attacking third of the pitch. I think he's incredibly creative, good on the ball. But the other 2/3 of the pitch where the game is played, I think there's a lot of question marks that can be asked specifically of Sancho. They can also be asked of Garnacho, but Garnacho's 18 years old. It's his first season, and he's going to grow into that as he's given time. I also think that Sancho's a little bit too passive as a player as well.
On that, it's funny you mentioned that, because I've been looking at it and thinking, have we? Do people take it? And I'm playing devil's advocate here. I'm not. I mean, I'm not taking either side with this question. But have people considered the fact that maybe Jaden Sancho is doing exactly what the manager's asking him to do?
Yeah.
So
fair.
because we know what Ten Hag's looking for in the wings. So is it possible that Jaden Sancho is being limited by the instructions that he's being given by the manager?
That could legitimately be. I think that could legitimately be it. But I think personally, though. So thinking about the Wolves game, right? I watched Sancho be relatively ineffective until from the moment to where he came off the pitch, and then Garnacho comes on, and he is effective enough in this cameo. And I think his physical giftings helped him be able to do that, right? So when Bruno plays him through on goal, I don't think Sancho has the pace to go past the defender, right? Just on a full-on sprint at the level that Garnacho does. So when Sancho goes through like that, I don't even think there's a chance on goal. I think he gets caught. I think it's caught in a full sprint in that moment. But I do think that Sancho still has things to offer the club. But for me, there are for me on that left hand side, if Manchester United go out and get a striker this summer, I think Rashford's first choice and Garnacho's second, and Sancho's seriously down the pecking order. I actually think there's probably more of a chance for Sancho to succeed on the right, battling Antony, than he does playing on the left. That's just me personally right now. But I think there's still a chance for him to break into the team. He just has to do a lot more. So for me, I would say keep. Give him another season. We spent a lot of money on him. Give him another season and then see what goes from there.
Before I come to you, Mr. Structure, I'm going to go to Elza, because I think he's got a bit of a rebuttal to what Bryant was saying. Elza, go, brother, before I move on to Mr. Structure.
Just quickly, on the question is whether he's doing exactly what the manager wants. We're talking about the wingers. Antony does not strike me as passive.
No,
call him a lot of things. He does not strike me as passive. He's up for it. He's always up for it, and he's full on. Do you know what I mean? And we know Antony is what the manager lacks, and I don't see no one taking that spot from him. So I can't see him asking Sancho to do otherwise on the other side. Just
if you were going to guess Ten Hag's mentality at the moment when it comes to Sancho, what do you think Ten Hag's thinking?
Oh, that's a good question.
I mean, when you send the guy away to get his mind right, and he comes back and you give him ample opportunities to show what he's got, and I think he probably underwhelms more than he does impresses. That's not that is a bad look on the manager more so than it is on Sancho. And I think for Ten Hag, he's like, I stuck my neck out for you and you're not repaying me with performances on the pitch. There's a lot of questions that can be asked there. That's
also sending someone away that might show a sign of liking the player also, because you're expecting more. So I feel like maybe he's like, give me more. I want more. I know you might have something in there. Give it to me. Show me it. So
show me,
yeah. So that's just my little
fair points. Mr. Structure, we're going to come to you, my brother. Like I said, welcome to the podcast, my guy.
Big up.
Same question to you,
brother. Finally, I got invited. Finally.
Now, but have you clocked? Danny's inviting you to the one that he's not on. So this is
it must be something, bro.
That
says it all.
Agendas, bro. Agendas in it. Agendas central, bro.
Listen, it's all good. You know what? If me and Danny get into the screaming matches, it might not be good on the camera.
Exactly.
Spaces, nobody can see nobody. So
we would just be spectators. We would just be watching it. We wouldn't even be involved. So
yo, first of all, big up to you, Jimmy. Big up to Brian, long time brother, long time king. I hope you're good. Big up to my brother Elso. I'm still waiting for that Elso radio. You know that I love that.
Coming back, bro. It's coming back soon, man.
Yo, you need to bring that back quick, bro. I need that therapy, bro. I need that therapy. So big up to everybody in the comments as well. Make sure you're smashing a like on the video, innit? Subscribe to the channel, man. Absolutely, it's a must, because you're going to get proper rational debate and good talking points in this. Sancho, so I'm looking at it like this. I'm looking at it objectively. So if you said to me with my hat on, being at the game, most games this season, I've been to most games in the Premier League this season. I've been to majority of the cup games this season. So if you saying to me game head on when things are sticky and I'm like he's on the ball, we're shooting towards the Stretford end, he's right in front of me, and I'm like, come on Sancho, take him on. If I'm doing that, I'm like, I'm done, brother, I'm done. So I'm gonna separate that Nuruddin from the I turn him to the rational, actually thinking about the age of the man. The troubles and the turbulence that he's got into, and then the troubles and turbulence of Manchester United when he joined. Most people forget that he joined the club that was upside down, man. He joined the club that was very kind of upside down, where a lot of pressure was on Oli. Oli changed the playing style. We were from low block football team. We went for try to play this 4-3-3, almost kind of like attack, high pressing, high tempo kind of a team. And that season, everybody knows what happened. We got smashed, and then we had interim. So Sancho had a season to absolutely, it was like welcome to hell, kind of like welcome to hell. Like he was that kind of he still, I thought some games he did well. Remember Valencia, where was it, Valencia away or whatever the game away? He scored the goal on the Michael Carrick, on the Ralph Ranier. I think everybody down tools, so he's not the only one. So I'm not judging him. I'm not judging Sancho of him being weird, because the Manchester United were absolute chaos. So I'm not judging him on that season. Now, at the beginning of the season, I'm judging him in the way that where he's been. But listen, we don't know what it feels like to be. We like to be. We would love to be in our ages, but we don't know what it like to be. Have all the money in the world.
Question for you, Nuruddin. Just going a few points back that you've made. When you look at Jaden Sancho, I'm not talking about profile, but if you look at him in terms of his output, do you see that is he doing the right things for you to suggest that he's going to improve as a Manchester United player? Are you seeing the things that you think you should be seeing in a player playing in this position? Are you seeing those little things that you would look for? And, are you seeing any signs that if he hasn't got them now, he's going to get them eventually?
So this is it. So I'm going to round it up and say, so the first season, I don't blame him. He came into an absolute club in chaos. Second season, he comes in, and like I was saying, if we had that amount of money that he's got, coming back into England is another thing. Because being away in Germany, in Dortmund, where, the Germans, I've lived in Germany. I don't know any of you've ever lived in Germany, but Germans are like, quite tunnel vision, very serious people. Yeah. They're not about this and that, about you on planes drinking all that, you know what I mean? Or blinging all that with rappers and all. It's not about that. They ain't no time for that. They expect you to be this. And he also had his troubles at Dortmund, if he, but coming back to England, coming back to Manchester where he was, all of the trappings that comes with being a young man and a young man at that with a lot of money. So I think Ten Hag has done what he's done to help him, send him away that 3 months. I think since he's come back, we expected him to come back and be like, thank you so much, boss, for having the faith in me, sending me, for me to sort myself out. We expect him to come in, guns blazing. I think our expectations are guns and blazing, but we don't understand that he missed 3 months of football. 3 months of football. That takes it. So a lot of time, a long time to be in and out of the team. There's been some games at Old Trafford and some performances where I've been like, yeah, he's decent. He's played decent today. He's played well. Yes, am I expecting still the Jaden Sancho that broke all records? The Jaden Sancho that I watched in some of the Derby youth games when he was at City? Because that kid was frightening. Like, I tell people, Mr. 11 broke the record that Jaden set around Manchester youth football. Like, it's that levels in terms of you either play for Man City or Manchester United. These goal scoring abilities are amazing. I'm expecting him to be more next season. So I'm giving him one more season because of that. Because like I said, he came into a club that's chaos. And then this season has been a time where he's missed 3 months. So I've not seen him. Like, he had a good preseason, but I'm hoping for a really good preseason. And I'm hoping for him to trim even more. And I'm hoping that for him to understand where he's at, what club he's at, who's playing, and Champions League football as well. Like, that will get the juices and that kind of creativity flow into thinking, you know what, it's time for me to step up. So one more season, because I'm not going to lie to you guys. There are players who've been here who's had 7 years, 6 years, 5 years, who are absolutely woeful, right? Yeah. So I'm not ready to throw him under the bus yet. I'm not ready to get rid of him yet because of his age as well. And only God only knows, man, at that age, what you're expected. There's the same thing.
What do you say though? What do you say though, Norwegian, to people that will say to that? They'll say, but 3 seasons is too much time to give him. He's had enough time. So that's too much time to allow a player that you could, because when Jaden Sancho was coming, he wasn't coming to be a squad player. In my eyes, when I looked at his transfer proposal, I was thinking, right, we're getting a player who's going to be the difference in the attack. Right, and that's not what we've got so far. And I'm not saying that he won't get there, but I'm saying people will look at it and think we didn't get what we want in the first place, and we've given him 2 seasons, 2 whole seasons to try and show us, and he hasn't. Why should we give him more time? We need to get someone else that's going to give us the goods now.
The reason why I say that is because I think he's gonna realize this is his last chance. I've been at a big football club. Unless we do, like Elso said, we do a mad one, lay me La Liga. Would he fit La Liga? Would he be more technical, more coming inside as a number 10 kind of player? Serie A, I doubt it that many people are going there because you're not going to get that type of money at Serie A. No chance. La Liga, if somebody takes a chance on him. The reason why I'm saying we give him one more chance because the first season was a write-off for me. He came into a club to chaos. I can't underestimate that, people. Because you know what, Jimmy? If, and Elso as well, if he came into where Fergie was here, I'd be like, nah, no chance. Because I already know Fergie had the club on lock. There was a certain level of stability at the football club. So when you have certain level of stability at the football club, then you could say, you know what, you ain't good enough. You ain't good enough.
What? But listen though, yeah. About you said you're writing last season off though, yeah. But I would even say he had a lot more glimpses last season than he has this season.
What, in terms of performance moments where he's looked the part, where you feel like he's looked the part?
He had a few more glimpses last season, to be honest.
Yeah.
Now, some games, listen, I can name what games are Leicester, Leeds. What are the games I'm thinking about? A couple of the FA Cup games when he was on the pitch. He's had some good season at home. Away was where I see him jumping out of tackles. I see him, forget somebody who's so technical. He's so easy to dispossess. Whilst Anthony, you have to bring him down. You have to throw him to the ground, right? So I feel like I don't want you jumping out of tackles. I saw it in Martial on the weekend again. He doesn't want to get injured. That's why he's trying to protect himself. He's trying to play with himself. I'm like, listen, if you're not willing to give 100% on that football, but get off the pitch, right? I understand what you're saying, also. I think nobody in here or nobody in the chat or nobody can argue with you in saying we're disappointed is beyond. This guy, we chased him for 2 years, spent all that money on him, give him those wages, and he is failed to deliver, right? But I see keepers making some good saves, like on the weekend, 1 or 2 chances, man. And he's a goal scorer. He's a good finisher. I just feel like Eric Ten Hag, second season, Manchester United playing with a bit more possession, right? A bit more possession, holding possession more. Him being inside the box or in that area of the team more often than not. I think more the creativity would come out. Also, having better midfield players would help as well.
So if you were so I'm gonna ask you the red and blue pill question that I've asked everyone. Keep him or sell him?
Keep him for 1 more year.
Keep him for 1 more year.
Well, I'll say, can I just say one more thing? With next season, he hasn't got a place in the starting team, in the starting 11. So,
but you don't know that.
But we do know that. Come on now.
No, you don't. You don't know that because
we know Rashford's playing left. Yeah, we know that. Yeah, we do know that, and we know Anthony's playing right. We do know that. So what I would say to this,
I get that. I get that.
Okay, okay, no, you know what? Let me just put in there. What about Man City? Man City not like this.
I'm with you. No, then I'm with you right now. See, my balanced head is keep him another year because, like you said earlier, there's been a lot of players that's had much more time, and we've dealt with it. So I'm with you. That's where my balance is. Where I'm just being a bit harsh, I would say let go because it's not really working. But what I'm saying is, can we get money for him now rather than a season of him being in and out of the team next season, coming from the bench, and then lose out on the extra 20, 30 million? That's the question that I'm going to ask you lot now.
For me,
if you're giving me 70 million for Sancho now, I say, yeah,
but no one's gonna pay that for Sancho. Let's be fair.
He's stocks.
It's not
looking good, man.
And that's not being, I'm not being harsh to him. No one's gonna pay that for
I would say we might get 50 this summer, but if he sits another season on the bench, in and out of the team next summer, we might get.
Yeah,
well, I don't even want to say it. I don't even want to say 30 or 40 because it's
no. But so at least I know where you all stand. So
you know
I've got Brian with sell. Is that right, Brian?
Keep. Yeah.
Keep. I've got Elza with sell, straight out sell, and I've got Mr. Stretcher with keep. So we'll take that as it is. We're going to move on to the next topic, guys, because obviously we just watching the.
What did you say?
What did I say?
Yeah,
I didn't say. No one
Let's
asked.
hear it then.
Yo, what's your opinion, Jimmy? You can't.
Yeah. Come on, Jimmy.
No. For me personally, I think keep. I think keep him, give him another year, and see how he improves. I still have a little bit of faith in him. I think he's going to come good. So I would say keep for another year. So I agree with that one. We're going to move on to the next topic, which is Casemiro versus Partey. But I know this is.
Can I go first?
This is No Agenda's podcast. But what I will say is, I need you to be objective with your opinions. Don't forget we are Manchester United fans. Yes, I understand that, but I need us to be as objective as we can be, because it's a conversation that I've seen so many different variations of people's opinions, and I need you guys to bring your context, bring your reasons for why you think what you think. So, Mr. Stretch, I'm actually going to start with you on this one, because I've always been interested in your opinion on Casemiro, and I don't think we've been on a space where we've talked about Casemiro. So I'll start with you, Mr. Stretcher.
Come back to me 2 seconds. I've got.
That's fine. That's fine, brother. That's fine. Elzo, I'll start with you then. Go on. Context, please. All
right. Partey's had a really good season. We can't hide from it.
Yes,
we can't hide from it. He's had a really good season.
Yeah.
Good player, cultured player. Me, Casemiro is my favorite player at the club right now. So,
big words. Big words. Casemiro is your favorite Manchester United player right now.
Right now.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. It's close between him and Licha, yeah? It's close. Warrior spirit. I love that from both of them, innit? And out of the two players mentioned, Partey and Casemiro, for me, one of them has a bigger spirit, a bigger warrior spirit. And
right, I'm gonna guide your talking points now, just because I need you to be very, very specific, right?
All right.
We'll start with 3 talking points. So we're gonna go with technical ability, athleticism, and the last one is contribution to the team.
That's but they're DMs though. We got to have a defensive stat in there.
No. So because I'll tell you why I'm guiding it this way is because I don't want it to be about the moments where the players are not that mobile. I need it to be about when the team is doing something. That's what I'm trying to guide it that way, because if they're static, for lack of a better word, I'm not interested in what they're doing then. I'm more interested in what they're doing when the team is in motion. Either transition is fine. So you can include the defensive side on the transition when it happens from attack to defense. That's fine. You can do that. But if you can try and concentrate on those, like I need technical ability and I need athleticism, which is, I think is quite important in the Premier League. And then how much they affect the team as a whole.
Okay, technical Partey. I gotta be honest.
Fair enough. Yeah.
I feel like he's very gifted footballer. He knows the right pass. He's weight of pass. I just say Partey. I just keep it real. Yeah. Right, athleticism. It's not much in it either way, to be honest. Not much in it. But I tell you one thing: Casemiro. Positional awareness, it trumps it. You don't have to be sprinting everywhere when you're there.
Yeah, no, I get that.
You know what I mean? That's why I think he edges it. But I don't think any of them's clear, or I think it's very similar. And contributions to the team, right? Casemiro all day. When we're good, you know he's having a good game.
Interesting, very interesting.
When we're keeping clean sheets, there's a good chance he's having a good game. Whereas Partey, he contributes. He's heavily been doing his thing this season. What I will say is, there's also 2-3 maybe ahead of him in that team that helps them flow back. Do you know what I mean? Whereas him, he's up there with Martinez, Casemiro. That's it. Them two play good. We've near enough won the game.
So if you're building Elsa United, unlimited budget, but they say, oh, look, actually, you have to choose one of these 2 midfielders for your team. Who are you taking?
Casemiro, specialist at breaking up.
Fair enough, man. Can't say anything to that, man. Can't say anything to that. Yeah, Brian, next to you, bro.
Are you gonna guide my talking points too?
I need to guide you as well, because again, I don't. Yeah, it needs to be when things are happening rather than when things are not happening. So I need you to stick to athleticism. Well, we'll start with technical ability, athleticism, and then contribution to the team as a whole. So what they do for the team, and how you think they do that.
Yeah, I think Partey he's just a physical freak, man. I mean, the guy's athleticism is outrageous. And that's not a knock against Casemiro at all. But I do think that Partey I think he just has a significant edge. You can't fight the genes. Casemiro ain't got them types of genes. It is what it is. You know what I mean? But as far as like technical ability, I actually think they're quite close to one another as far as technical ability is concerned. And so I would allow my Manchester United bias to let me pick Casemiro for that one. So, but for me, contribution to the team, this for me is where Casemiro edges it for me, because Manchester United have had games in the Premier League this season where they have conceded 7 goals and 6 goals.
Yeah.
We've been asking question marks about our goalkeeper all season long, especially this season. Seasons before, yes, but especially this season. And yet, Casemiro has single-handedly helped Manchester United keep the most clean sheets in the Premier League because of the way that he's helped shield the back line. Right.
Yeah.
I think we've improved the back line with the purchase of Lisandro Martinez. Nobody believed in him. He came in. I mean, he was excellent. The addition of those 2 players shielding David De Gea has been revolutionary. And for me, I think that when we were having conversations about wanting a midfielder in the summer last year, I personally, I hold my hands up and admit it, I didn't realize the value that having a specialist defensive midfielder would have on this team until I think a
lot of people are in the same boat. I don't think a lot of people appreciate it.
We were talking about ball carrying midfielders. We were talking about ball carrying midfielders. We were talking about progressive passers. I think Casemiro has come in and he's helped shield that back line. And I think that Manchester United still have a ways to go of putting some players around him, but he's been incredible. Now, I will say, I think Casemiro has been a little silly with the types of challenges that he's gone into in the run-in towards the end of the season, and allowing himself to be suspended at crucial moments has not helped the team in the run-in. But I think that Casemiro will learn from those moments. He has to learn from those moments and how he's going to be profiled by referees in the Premier League going into next season. I think he'll learn from those experiences. And so he's made mistakes in the types of challenges he throws himself into, and how he's gotten himself suspended more than a time or two, regardless of what we think about it. But I still say, for me, the impact that he's had on the team, we used to average 2 goals conceded per game before Casemiro got signed, and then we were under 1 for a long time. I mean, the statistics even by themselves show the impact that he's had on helping us stay in games. So for me, Casemiro for me is over Partey for me.
So Brian FC is definitely signing Casemiro over Partey.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Mr. Structure, I'm going to come to you next. So
big up, bro.
Yeah, big up, man. So so Casemiro versus Partey. So I'm just guiding your talking points to technical ability, athleticism, and how they contribute to the team, and sort of who you think is better in that way.
Yeah. You know what? I'm not gonna lie to you. I've not watched many Arsenal games, and some of the Arsenal games that I've watched, he's actually not been playing. But I've seen some of the highlights and some of the games where he's had a fantastic game. So in terms of getting around the pitch, in terms of 100%, it's Partey. People were absolutely coming down my throat when I'm saying that Casemiro, he's going to adjust to the league because the league is a bit too fast for him. And at times he looks silly because he's so late with his challenges. He slides in and the player's way gone behind him. So in terms of getting around and covering the ground, 100% Partey. In terms of reading the game and scanning, Casemiro for me. In terms of that, scanning. But obviously in terms of the energy, the athleticism, getting around the pitch, Partey definitely. Partey is a lot better. Importance to the team, definitely Casemiro. I was one of the people that was screaming when people were saying Ronaldo, we're all getting overexcited. Ronaldo in the spaces. I was like, nah, Ronaldo, we need holding midfield players. We need a holder. Some of us have been screaming the house down, you know what I mean, burning the place down, screaming to say Manchester United need to go get a guy who can sit, a number 6 who can sit there and do a job for Manchester United. So 100% I agree with Brian. I didn't hear what else was said, but I agree with Brian in terms of that that amount of clean sheets and that triangle, Varane, Lisandro Martinez, and Casemiro, that has massively helped this season and contributed to David De Gea most likely getting the Golden Gloves.
Yeah, and you know what? It's no surprise that all our comfortable games have been when that trio is available on the pitch. You know what I mean? If you look at the games that we've been comfortable in, it's been the ones that those three are playing. So it's a lot to be said about that. So I agree with you.
Yeah, 100%. Do I think Casemiro 5 years younger, similar age to Partey? Casemiro all day. Casemiro all day. Because
so Mr.
Casemiro,
Structure United is signing. Are you saying Mr. Structure is signing Casemiro over Partey?
5 years younger, yeah, 100%. But I wanted Casemiro 5 years ago, man. And he would have been really good because Fernandinho did what he did, and I think Casemiro is up there with Fernandinho. And Fernandinho, for me, was one of the best holding midfielders in a long time in the Premier League. Dominated the Premier League. That guy had the way of making the most fouls but never getting booked for it. I don't know. There was something about that guy. The brother had probably some Brazilian juju helping him, man. I'm not going to lie to you. That guy used to give away so many fouls, so many technical fouls, committing so many, and never get booked, never used to get booked. I do think 100% what's happened to him, the victimization by referees on Casemiro, has definitely impacted his season, 100%. You see it. He's not as confident anymore. Before, he was the leader going into confrontations with players. Now, when he gets booked, he almost kind of goes in the shell. He got booked again on the week on Saturday, and he kind of for about 10, 15 minutes.
That was a joke, by the way. That was a joke.
Yeah, that was a joke.
It was laughable. It was actually the first person who committed that foul that should have. It was on Nunes. I think Nunes.
It was weird. It was weird.
And Casemiro was the last guy to touch him, and Casemiro did this with his hands, trying to get out of the way of him. And then he got the yellow card. So it's ridiculous. I think that's affected him. I do think Thomas Partey is the ability. I didn't think that he would transfer that ability straight away into the Premier League, but he looks like a quality player. But Casemiro, I think it's the age thing. I genuinely do think also the victimization, also playing as many as games. I know that he used to be rested, and especially in the last couple of years, he would get rested for the Champions League games and the Liga. They will play somebody else within the Liga, but it's the amount of games he's played this season and the victimization of these referees has affected him. But 100%, he's made a massive, massive difference in the way Manchester United team are and the way they play. So if I was signing him 5 years ago, 100% hands down, I would sign Casemiro.
Well, fair enough, man. Fair enough. Appreciate that. I'm going against everyone. I would sign Partey. It's like the being adventurous thing is one thing, which kind of when I talk about athleticism, I think Partey has this way of playing for 90 minutes. When he plays, he can play with the same level of concentration for 90 minutes. Sometimes I feel like Casemiro drops off, and it might be because of what you were saying, Mr. Structure, that he's starting to be too disciplined, if you like. So he's starting to be too careful. So as the game goes on and he thinks there's a risk that he's going to get a card, he starts to slow down a bit. And that I'm seeing it more and more. So I'm not getting a 90-minute performance from him. I'm getting sort of 40, 45 minutes, and then he kind of starts to drop off. So I would take Partey. I also think, obviously, Partey is technically more gifted. He can probably look at. Sometimes he almost looks like he could play like a number 10. So he has that technical ability. He can spin in small spaces. He can do that quite comfortably. Sometimes I think Casemiro struggles with intricate spaces. So I would probably buy Partey over Casemiro.
I think I would definitely concede that. At times, I'm like, his passing can be so poor, Casemiro, especially away from home. It's weird. It's really weird what happens to our team away from home. But at home, his passing is mainly good. You don't get many groans in the crowd when he gives the ball away. But away from home, 100%, giving the ball away loads. But yeah, I do see Partey, like I said, he's a good player, and I didn't expect him to be actually this good.
I don't think anyone did. I don't think anyone expected him to kind of just be able to perform the way he's performed. It's been. I think Arsenal. Do you know what? When I look at some of the reactions towards Thomas Partey's performances from Arsenal fans, they get surprised at some of his performances. I think sometimes he's better than they even think he is. So I don't know. I can't really fault him so far at Arsenal. Right, we're going to move on to the next topic. So we'll preview the Bournemouth match coming up. And that's so we'll talk about the potential lineups or whatever. We can have that conversation. But what I want to know more is, do we think it's at that point of the season where we shouldn't be expecting a decent performance from Manchester United? It's just we won't see one. Are we expecting them to turn this round from what we've seen in the last 2-3 matches? Are we expecting them to turn around and give us a decent performance? So just give me your rough thoughts on that and where you think Manchester United are going to be for the weekend. So I'll start with you, Elzo, again, and then we'll take.
I've got to go. Can I start, Jimmy? Because I've got to go, bro.
Oh yeah. You start, Mr. Structure. That's fine, brother. That's fine.
Yeah, 100%. Listen, it's going to be tough, innit? It's going to be tough. They've been playing really good. You know what happens when Manchester United come to town? You see that tight pitch, 15,000 seater stadium. It's weird, innit? Having a team in the Premier League that's got 15,000 seater stadium. That's a corner of the Stretford end. You know what I mean? That's like just the singing section at Old Trafford. It's crazy. But I think they're going to raise their game. I think I always say about with Ten Hag, and I predicted this, honestly, on my channel, United Real Therapy. I've done about 10 shows talking about this. I was talking about this 2-3 months ago, that the burnout was going to come. And that I was screaming about it in the spaces as well, that him playing 13 or 14, using 13 or 14 players throughout the season in this amount of games is going to caught up with the players. It's not just the physical tiredness, it's the mental tiredness. And I think the mistakes that have been coming is due to the mental tiredness. I mean, Luke Down flagging that black cab at Brighton, you know what I mean? David De Gea throwing one in at West Ham. David De Gea having a Spanish meltdown.
Yeah, man literally threw it in as well. He properly threw it into the net, bro. It was so weird, man. Like, it was so weird.
I'm telling you. So these things, I think, is the mental fatigue that is costing these players. So I think this one game, if you would have said to Manchester, if you would have said to any of the fans, you've got to go and win at Bournemouth to go and guarantee yourself top 4, I think most of them would have bit your hand off. I saw Eric Ten Hag, like I said, I sit between the tunnel and basically between the singing section and the bench. And on Saturday, what was noticeable for me was that how more activity was on the touchline from Ten Hag. He really wants this. He's really pushing. I see him screaming at players more than I've seen most of the games this season, any other game at Old Trafford. So I think the mentality is going to get them prepared to fight. And I always say that the 3 or the 4 crucial elements to play in a Ten Hag system, and the reason why I mentioned the fatigue, mental and physical, is that to play in every Ten Hag system, as I think, in the Premier League especially, is physicality, aggression. You need to be able to win your duels, because a lot of times you're going to be doing individual one-to-one duels. And then the biggest thing is that when the game gets a bit frantic, can you win the 50-50s? Have you got players on the pitch that are going to go into those 50-50s and come out with that ball? So these things are super important. And when you got possession as well, the 5th one is, can we keep the possession and rotate? So if Bournemouth come and attack us, I think it could be difficult. And to be fair to them, one thing I'll say about Gary O'Neill, he's attacked. The reason why they're not in the relegation zone, or they're not getting relegated, is because Gary O'Neill attacked the season. Even in games where they were getting smacked, he was going with the same game plan, going to attack teams other than waiting or playing a bit more low block like all these other teams that have been doing. So it's going to be very interesting. I don't know if Rashford is going to be fit. Rashford might be in doubt. We're going to need players on the pitch who can play on the break, because I think they might have us under the cosh. I think it's going to be who wins the transitional game, if you know what I mean, Jimmy.
The transitional game,
exactly. Who wins that game would win the game. And what I saw from Martial was absolutely diabolical. The guy doesn't want to get injured. He's not running the same. He's not going into the challenges the same. He just looks flimsy. He looks awkward. It looks like he's falling all over the place. But of course, he's better at least than Workhorse being on the football pitch, because at least people think he's going to drop, can play on the shoulder and run beyond a centre half. But it's a game where the first goal is so crucial. Because if that tight little pitch, I've been to Bournemouth. I don't know how many of you have been, but I've been to Bournemouth.
I've never been to Bournemouth.
Yeah, it's a long way to go from Manchester, I promise you. The coach was put it this way, it was a long coach journey. But it's a tight little pitch, and when they're up, their crowd is up, they're up. They don't stop. So Manchester United need to score first. I think the first goal is vital for the confidence to set up teams. But if we get opportunities where we hem them in and we win the midfield battle and we hem them in, I think we could win that game. But it's about finishing your chances. And what I saw on Saturday, still worrying for me. I mean, the only time that Anthony passed, really, Martial scored. Other times, people were not passing to each other. It's still that hero FC where somebody wants to be the hero and people need to pass the ball, especially the front four or the front six. So it's a huge performance. We've had one of the worst away seasons ever. We've got trounced, we got absolutely humiliated, we got bopped around the pitch. I think the energy is going to be needed, a massive energy in this game, a massive output energy and a fighting, because you're going to have to fight there. They're safe, they're on the beach, but having a win over Manchester United is a massive thing for Gary O'Neill and for the players.
What's the structure? What's the thing that because I know we know that we've been poor away generally, but what's the tangible thing that why have we not been, even against teams that we've played quite comfortably against, games that we've lost but we've played okay? Why is it that we can't perform away? What's the thing? I don't see it. I don't see the thing that is different when we play away, because it's not, our tactics don't change necessarily when we play away. So what is the thing that's making them play bad away? I don't get it.
I think it was, if you want to talk about throughout the season, or you want to talk about in the last couple of months, in the last
few games. If we
talk about the last few games, is the fatigue, bro. It's the fatigue. Even though I call them bottom jobs cowardice, it's the fatigue. And even at games at Old Trafford, I see it with myself. When you use 14 players, bro, throughout the season, and you're playing your best team best available team.
So why are they not fatigued when they play at home?
Well, the biggest thing, because of the crowd, bro. 75,000 almost fans in that stadium, expectations. I also think psychologically, a lot of football, I think we've all played football. The mentalities of things to teams. When you haven't got the same energy levels and you're not keeping the ball, and the referee's more involved, the crowd is more involved for shouting for things, I think that's where it gets into them, especially after we lose goals. And that's my biggest thing with Erik ten Hag. I'm like, listen, is there a time? Here's what we don't do. The biggest thing we don't do, Jimmy, right, is that when we're under the cosh, we don't respect other teams. We try to play the same way as we're playing. No. Old days, Jimmy, would be like, you know what? Winger telling the fullback telling the winger, get back, give me some hand. The midfielder's telling the number 10 or the other midfielder to drop a little bit deeper. Centre halves talking, saying, you know what? Okay, let's just weather this storm for the next 20 minutes. And then we'll play our game into it. No, we play the same way. We go gun-ho, leave man for man, and once we start losing duels all over the pitch, then we get exposed, and then this happens. Huge gap between the midfield and the defense and the attackers. It's a massive gap. You can put Titanics in there. So I think that's what happens. But first goal is vital for me. When we don't score away from home first, right? When we don't get that goal, I think certain players' mentality goes into the shell. 100%.
Okay. No, that's fine. That's fine. So do you think? Are you saying generally you expect us to win this match?
I don't, because I expected Manchester United to beat West Ham. And they're playing better football than West Ham. To be fair, West Ham played low block. We were decent for 20 minutes. I don't think we were spectacular, people make it out. We were decent for 20 minutes, but it's about taking your chances, Jimmy. Goals change games.
Yeah.
Goals change games. And at this moment in time, I can't see it. Everybody's gassed. And that, to me, I lay that all under the feet of Erik ten Hag. I'm sorry. You've got to learn. I'm even worried now, Jimmy, for next season, because I saw it happening to Liverpool. Liverpool didn't just collapse because they had injuries. I think it's the fatigue. It's the mental and physical fatigue from last season. Going for everything on the last day. Yeah. Manchester United needs 6-7 players to come in this team to freshen it up. That's and in a perfect world, that's what I'm hoping and praying for. Because I think we need more energy in legs in this team, especially in midfield. I don't want to see that team with Eriksen. I don't. Get Fred on that pitch. We need legs. Also, we need legs against Bournemouth. I'm telling you. You can't start that. You can't. We need legs. And you know what? To be fair to Fred, he came on Saturday and he was brilliant for that cameo.
He was. I said that.
Cameo, isn't it?
Yeah,
he was brilliant. He gave us energy. He gave the crowd energy. So at the end of the day, I expect Manchester United because we beat them comfortably at Old Trafford. But they had chances. They missed their chances, Jimmy, as well at Old Trafford. You know, I remember I was under the rain. I remember cycling there, getting wet in the rain. You know what I mean? I was thinking, you know what? I'll take it. If I get wet back up cycling back in the rain, I'll take it all day if Man United scoring 3 goals. I think we won 3-0 if I'm not mistaken.
Structure.
Game. So
saying that then, yeah. So would you want to see Weghorst?
No. No. Fred, Casemiro, Bruno. But I need Bruno to be more deeper lining to help out the midfield. Because one thing about them, they've got technical footballers, and they've got pace. They've got runners. They absolutely have runners. So that's what I expect. I expect our midfield to be tighter, to be helping that shield in that defense. Because they've got very good footballers. And the way they shift the ball from left to right, they're also very good at overloading as well. They're very good at overloading and winning the ball back and pressing as well. I don't want any messing about trying to play out from the back with Varane and De Gea. I need you to get rid. So what I want is players to come and stand up and get that first goal. I think if we get the first goal, I think we could maybe go over the line and get the result that we need in this game. But big up to everybody. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, people. And smash a like on the video.
Smash the like button. Smash the like button.
Yeah. Big up, love and light. Take care, people.
No, big up, Mr. Structure. Thanks for coming through, bro. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you.
Love Brian. Love Elso. Love Jimmy. Always, brother. Peace.
Yeah, man.
Big up Danny as well.
Elzo, I'm gonna come to you next, bro. It's on you, bro. Preview. What are you thinking? What's on your mind? How are you seeing it? What are you expecting? What don't you want to see? What do you want to see?
He said a lot. He said a lot of what I was thinking. It's a fight. It's going to be a fight. We want people hungry. We want to see the likes of Anthony.
Are they a battle team? Are they a battling team?
I'm not so sure, but I know the fixture and the time of the season. It's not going to be pretty. We just want to win. Yeah, we want fight. Saying that, I'll probably start Garnacho instead of Sancho. I would give him the nod from what he produced last game.
Yeah.
And try to get his confidence up a bit. You know what I'm saying? So we can thank him, and we know he's gonna fight. That boy is hungry to prove himself.
He is.
He's got that arrogance. Do you know what I mean? You know that.
And you know what? He thinks he's better than all. He thinks he's the best out of all the kids that are playing right now.
He
genuinely thinks that.
And I know he's got that fight in him. So I'm not Weghorst's biggest fan. I don't like the player, to be honest. But,
I'm not anymore, man.
This might be a game to start him and bring on Martial towards the end, because we can't have the passiveness. We can't have passengers. We have to get this done. Do you know what I mean? And then
do you know what though? You know, when I look at Weghorst, like I always say, you know, if he could score goals, I wouldn't have too much of a problem with him. Because
I don't see it, but I do.
Because he does.
We need something like that. We need someone working. We just need someone working.
If he could score goals, that would be all right. It'd be fine.
Whether it's making them play long, and we recycle and go straight back at the other end. I think that's something that we might need. And Martial towards the last half hour. Or something to just, you know what I mean, just in case. But obviously, I like Martial better. But I'm just thinking about the fixture. We want fighters, we want workers, we want people that's going to force.
You would definitely start Garnacho. You would definitely start.
Well, why not? Why not?
Fair play, man. Fair enough.
Right now, the only option is Sancho. So the way I see it is, why not? So we can reward him for what he done last game, and just tell him to go out there and fight. And I think he's got that in him. He's got that.
Which he can do, he can do it. We've seen him do it. So, you know,
he's prove himself. I feel like it would be a good game for Anthony. I feel like before, just to sidetrack quickly, I feel like he's growing into himself a lot.
Who, Anthony?
Yeah, I feel like he's starting to feel like he belongs here now. Do you know what I mean?
he is, but I think he needs to really look at this not passing quickly. You know, he needs to learn. He needs to learn to pass it at the right time to really affect the game. Really, because the difference between a pass turning into a goal is time. It's just, you know, if milliseconds later, it's too late. You know what I mean, or too early, or whatever. You know what I mean. So he needs to learn to pass the ball at the right time, or try and beat a man at the right time. There's a lot of little elements of his game that if he just tweaks those things, he would be the perfect winger. He would, even without his pace. I think he would still be absolutely perfect, fine.
Yeah, it should be a win, but like Structure said, we were supposed to win against West Ham, so it's the Premier League. Just got to go for it full on. We got to play them like it's City. Do you know what I mean? We got to just get this done and just move on to the next one. But,
do you want to predict a score?
Away, close 2-1 to us.
2-1.
Yeah.
Very modest, isn't it? Very, very modest. Yeah, no, big up, man. Brian, let's go to you, man. What are you thinking? How are you seeing this game? Same question. Just how do you feel? What do you expect? What do you want to see? What do you not want to see? You know, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Bournemouth do play good football, and for that reason, I think that they're going to give United's players a lot of space. Again, if we can keep them at bay, break up their attacks, and start some counters, I think that we're going to be in a really good position to go out and win the game. The thing about the time at which we're playing Bournemouth is Man United are in a fight for the top four, and Bournemouth are safe. So the team that needs a result is Manchester United. But Manchester United should be able to go away from home to Bournemouth and win the game, right? They should be able to go away from home and win the game. So that shouldn't be a big issue. I don't know, man. I said the same thing in the space not that long ago when people were worried about us playing Brighton in the FA Cup final. I was like, am I supposed to be afraid of Brighton now? Like, is that really what we've come to? We're afraid of Brighton, and that's not even being disrespectful to them. We played Barcelona, the La Liga winners this season, over 2 legs and beat them, and I'm supposed to be afraid of a team in 7th place. Get out of here. I'm not afraid of Bournemouth either. I'm not. I respect them. I respect what they've done this season. It was looking bad for them when they got beaten 9-0 at Anfield. It was looking like they were going to come into the Premier League and get immediately sent back to the Championship, and now they're going to stay up. So, like, hats off to them. Their season's over, right? Just like Nurga said, they're at the beach. But
they're just out to spoil everyone else's season. That's all they can do now. So.
Exactly. But I think that in games when Manchester United are playing against teams that play good football, I'm not super convinced by Bournemouth defensively in some of the ways that I would be against other teams. I think that United are going to have a lot of space in behind to work with, and I think that that's going to give them ample time and room to create chances. And you create 2 or 3 of those, 2-3 really good opportunities, especially with the players that we have. Like, that's how you pin a team back and you gain control of the match. So the first goal is vital, but for me, the first 10 to 15 minutes are vital as well. When the crowd is up for it, when the other team is starting, with lots of energy, Manchester United are going to have to grow, and Manchester United may have to weather the storm a little bit. And no mistakes from our most experienced players, please. Right, De Gea, don't throw a ball into the net in this game.
But this is the only, and please, Casemiro people. I'm a Casemiro guy, so please don't kill me for this. But this is my only fear when we play against teams that are really aggressive and they're quick on the either like the half press or whatever you want to call it. Casemiro has a mistake in him. When he's, it's almost as if he needs the space to work with. You know what I mean? It doesn't, when he's not given any space at all, sometimes he struggles to kind of be quick enough to either release the ball or make, or twist or whatever he wants to do. It takes that millisecond longer, and it forces him to make a mistake. I've seen him do it a few times. Is that the kind of thing that would worry you when you're playing against teams that might be on paper seen as aggressive on the press? Because these guys might want to press us because they're playing at home, and they've seen that you can rattle United quite easily by just pressing them a little bit. It doesn't even have to be full presses. It just has to be half presses and we can get rattled. Is that a worry for this kind of match?
No, because we've been playing with players who have mistakes in them across the team all season long. You know what I mean? To be completely honest, there's no real steady, like, just don't make a mistake players that exist in the team. So I think that I think that United will have enough in them, mistakes or not, to be able to overcome.
I never looked at it like that, what you just said. We haven't got a player that we can say. I mean, I could only think of Martinez, who doesn't make mistakes. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, who doesn't? Because if I look across the pitch, everyone else is very capable of giving the ball away for no reason whatsoever. Yep. It's literally Martinez that I can think of who doesn't really make that mistake. He'll always find the pass, and he'll always know when to hold the ball because he can't see the pass clearly enough until he sees it clearly enough. So, when I look across the pitch, I think Martinez is the only one I can think that was quite an interesting point.
For me, here's what we need, right? The most basic way that Manchester United build up the football from the back. Say Bournemouth try to create a chance, goes out for a goal kick. Manchester United start. We know they're going to want to pass it short. Right? They're going to want to pass it short and build up from the back. If Bournemouth find a way to shut down our main route out from the back, other players around the pitch are going to have to step up to get the ball forward. And I think there have been multiple instances over the course of a season where that has not happened, right? That hasn't happened. And players just kind of let the game happen around them instead of doing their part to.
And they're not looking to affect what's going on around them.
Exactly. Like, so say if the ball goes into the feet of Casemiro and Casemiro is being man-marked by a forward, other players around him need to drop in to pick up the ball, which is why I like what Nuruddin said about the importance of Bruno dropping in deeper to help out the midfield. Like, he's going to be vital. We have to be able to control the game in that first phase of the buildup, because I think if we can get out of that first phase of the buildup where the press is going to be its heaviest, then we are going to have the technical ability to do whatever we want. Look
at one of the comments from Nonchalant. Bournemouth isn't the game to play Eriksen. A lot of runners needed to keep up and stay alert. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I do. I do. I still haven't forgiven Eriksen for his diabolical performance against Crystal Palace away.
What's your midfield?
I would take Fred. I would have said Sabitzer if he wouldn't have been injured for the rest of the season. But I would take Fred there.
Jimmy?
Yeah, I would take Fred.
I would take Fred as well. Because that comment is very accurate. I agree with that 100%. I think because you have to. This is the part of the season where, and sometimes, you know what? I've been surprised sometimes at how little Ten Hag has used Fred in these latter games. Because for me, I feel like Fred he should have been used more in some matches.
No, Jimmy, don't say that. Don't say that to Elzo. Don't say that to
Elzo. Shameless, man. But listen, I would just say this: is it an important game? Yes.
Yes.
Every game's important. Yeah, every game's important.
Every game's important. So you play that.
Yeah, like really important. Really important.
Just play that, man. So
in my mind, this is the toughest game in the run-in. In my mind, from the run-in to top four, this game is more important than the Chelsea and Fulham games at home, because I think that we're gonna have we always have enough at home to at least not lose. These games are toss-ups. If United can win this game, I think top 4 is a shoo-in. Like, they're not going to lose against Chelsea and Fulham at home when they've barely lost all year. So I think this is the big one for me.
Els was getting cooked in the comments, by the way.
Listen, man, they all agree, but I was just letting you say it to me. Everyone agrees. Everyone agrees. So
but people just don't want to say it, brother. That's what it is.
They don't want me to say it. That's what it is. They don't want.
They want you to say it. They don't want to say it. They want you to say it. That's it. That's all it is.
I just let the people speak on it, but I think Structure said it first, and I think he said it right. They're going to be up for it. Yeah, it's Man United coming into town. It's always a big game for all these teams. So they're gonna.
It's a cup final every time they play Man United. But look, I was watching Brighton, and I'm like, this is not the same Brighton that played against us, man. I'm watching this team, like, these are dead average team, man. Like, they go and play somewhere else, they're like a whole different team. They play against Man United cup final.
Newcastle as well.
Ridiculous, bro. It's absolutely ridiculous, man. It's stupid.
I'll just play the fighters, Jimmy, man. Just so you know what I mean.
Elsie, you gave me your prediction, didn't you? What was your prediction?
2-1 United.
2-1. And Brian, what's your prediction?
I think it's going to be 3-0 again. They're going to do them again. 3-0. Yeah. I'm
going for a 3-1 United. I think we'll play fine. If he allows Bruno to drop deep, play that role, I think we'll be fine. We'll be all right. It's not going to be comfortable, but I think we'll be all right. I think we'll come through it 3-1. Devils says 2-1. That's his prediction. Absolute nonsense. Only because he hates Fred, innit? That's the problem. But yeah, we're gonna move on to the last topic, which is Qatar versus Jim takeover. So I do you know what? I've stopped reading reports on this. Like, I can't be bothered with them anymore. I just can't do it. I can't. Or even like some of the journalists that I like and I trust have let me down. I'm just getting nonsense. I've stopped reading anything about it now. So if you guys have any new information, I'm happy to listen. But so a lot of people obviously want Qatar for the obvious reasons. Money. Is there a case for people that want Jim instead of the Qatar bid? Is there a case for it? Do you see, if you were being objective, do you see the advantages to it?
No.
None whatsoever.
No. Listen, it's going to be, first of all, the Glazers are still involved, and that's just his angle to get in the club and take it over. So if that's what he's got to do, that's what he's got to do. I don't want it, but I do see why he's done it. The advantages.
If any, if you don't think there's any, then
I can't see any, but I don't want to fully bash him. Do you know what I'm trying to say? I'm just saying the reason why I want Qatar is because we have bigger problems that need bigger money. We need stadium ASAP. We can't.
That's a great way of putting it.
Do you know what I mean? So I don't want to fully bash him. I was speaking to someone about it the other day. I was saying he might actually come and do some good, but the issues are too big, and it needs big money. So they've said they'll come in, they'll address the stadium, training ground, players. So I feel that that's what we need.
Yeah.
So if you look at PSG, and I'm playing devil's advocate here as usual. So if you look at PSG, because some people would argue that, well, Qatar having done the best job at PSG in terms of this, they're claiming to be these football-focused people that are going to come in and they're going to focus on the football. They're going to make sure the club gets back to being a great footballing institution. But when you look at PSG, is that what they've done with PSG? Are they focused on football? Or have they focused on the machine, the PR side of the club rather than the football?
I feel like they're focused on both. You know what I mean? You can only respect the work that they've done off the pitch with the merch and stuff like that. But I feel like people just say that because of the Champions League. If they had been won Champions League, no one would say that. And it's not that easy to just get money and win a Champions League like that. City would have done it years ago. Do you know what I mean? And let's not pretend City are not focused on football and win stuff. And so I feel like it's just a bit harsh and they just focus too much on the Champions League. I know that is what they want and it's what they've been wanting for a long time. But yeah, football's not that easy to just come in and just win the Champions League like that. It's just, but I feel like they've done a good job. They've done a good job. They've grown the club. There's little kids now, 6, 7, 8 years old that know about PSG. Yeah. To me, that's crazy. To me, that's just crazy. Like they've got the big players, they've got the kits, they've got the merch. You know what I mean? So
do you know what it is, real quick? We've spoken about this in Spaces. Shout out to Shubs. Before the Qataris were involved, people were twerking for Jim Ratcliffe. Yeah, I'm pretty sure if I went and looked through the United stand, I could find Mark Goldbridge on stream doing twerking for Ineos and Jim Ratcliffe. The moment people heard about Qatari money, they switched. They switched because they thought anybody's better than the Glazers. But now we hear about Qatar. I'll be honest. I want Qatar for the money. I've got no guarantee on whether Sheikh Jassim or whoever heads the 92 Foundation will be competent. Same way, I don't think anything at Nice. Like I can crash it on Jim Ratcliffe if I want to, but nothing that happened in Swiss football, where the team got relegated or Nice, is relevant to Man United in the Premier League. I'll be honest with you, it's not relevant. Even if you look at PSG, what they've done, they've got no competition. Nobody's pouring PSG money into that league for them. There's no competition. That's why they're judged on the Champions League, Elzo. There's no competition. So it's not a blueprint for anything. All it is we're looking at the money. Manchester City have are number one in football for revenue. Manchester City. How are they number one in the world for revenue? Because they're cooking the books. Yeah. Every time they make a financial mistake, and they've made more than people care to admit, they write a sponsorship check. That's the only reason they're number one. Otherwise, they can't get around FFP. They must have offshore accounts with payments to so many players that you won't even believe. It's they have no reason to be number one for revenue unless they're covering up for a whole load of stuff. Because there's amazing net spend, best run club. Why have you artificially boosted your revenue to number one in the world? Because over the years, you've actually made mistakes, and the only way to pay for mistakes is to pay people off in lump sum cash or installments or whatever it is. So I want that at Man United. I want Man United to get Qatari airline deal, 120 mil. That's what I want. That's what I want. And that's all I need. I don't need anything else. That's all I need from Qatar.
Peace,
because we're actually a real big football club with actual real commercial revenue, unlike Manchester City. All I need is one big Qatari airline deal. The problem with Jim Ratcliffe is, even though there'll be no fresh debt, so the debt to finance to buy the club, to buy the Glazers out, say 40% now and the rest later, however the breakdown is, he's going to put that on Ineos. That's cool. No issues. But the bond debt is probably going to stay. And then we're going to need a new stadium. So I'm basically going to trade Glazer dividend for a new stadium. That I have to wait is ready for 3 to 4 years before I can get the profit back anyway. So in those 4 years or 3 years or 2 years while the stadium's being built, Glazer dividends leaving the club and affecting us the way it affected us before. That's not what I signed up for with this process. I'll be if Jim comes in or Ineos, I'll be balanced on them, innit? Of course, but my preference, man. I just want the money.
Fair point, Brian. Back to you, bro. What's your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I feel like the idea between Sir Jim, between the Qataris, I feel like at the end of the day, Manchester United need owners that are actually going to release funds to the club to invest in players that are going to help them compete across competitions. We cannot continue to go. And so for me, how we can do that the easiest, I feel like, is with the Qataris, because they're going to absorb, they're going to pay off all the debts, and then the club will be debt free, and then they will be able to invest in multiple different areas. Whether or not they actually do that is ultimately up to them. Like Danny said,
Well, there is that point, isn't there? Whether they actually do that is a whole other point,
because
isn't it? So
but because the sales pitch that you do to put you in the good graces of the fans, and then what you actually do when you get in the seat are two completely different things, right? So for me, but we can't continue to go with the type of money that Manchester City is spending year on year. Manchester United cannot continue to go into the summer with here's 100. You have 150 million for your transfer budget, and the rest have to be generated through player sales. Like, why are we operating that way when we're Manchester United? There's no reason for the club to be having to operate that way, and the only reason is because they're hamstrung by their owners, right? So for me, bring in owners. So if there's a blueprint for anything that PSG does, that is a potential like for like for what they do at PSG to what they do at Manchester United, and it's a stretch. It's the caliber of player that they buy for that club. I want that at Manchester United. Bring me the Neymars, bring me the Marquinhoses, bring me the Mbappes, bring me those players.
For people that will say, like, yeah, that's all well and good, but what about the fact that Jim Ratcliffe is obviously speaking more about his connection to the area, that the Manchester connection, because that might be important to some fans. Some fans will say that's important. What you want to think about those fans is entirely up to you. But some people will say that that's really important, and also the fact that even though he's not said that he is going to pay off the debt, he hasn't said he's not going to pay off the debt for the club. So if people are, because a lot of people are saying, no, it's really important for the Qatars to take over because they're going to pay off this debt. Oh, what the can you hear me? Can you still hear me? Sorry.
Yep.
But yeah, so people that are saying maybe he will pay off the debt, but he also brings with him all these other advantages: the British connection, the Manchester connection, the fact that he's talking about the history of the club and he wants to link the future to the history and all this stuff. He's saying all these amazing, sentimental, nostalgic things. Why not him? Why can't we? Why is he not good enough?
Yeah, it's a big PR spin, isn't it? I mean, honestly, here's
you tell me. I don't know. I'm just reporting what I've read. What I mean?
And that's fair. You say what you want to try to get yourself in the good grade, because he knows that financially he can't compete with the Qataris. So he has to come from a different angle to try to get people to think, oh yeah, no, that's a good point. Yeah, tell me more about this thing that you want to do and your connection to the area. I'll be honest with you. I'm from the United States. I couldn't care less about Sir Jim's connection to the area because I'm not from the area. I'm not from the area.
Wait, you don't want to put the man back in Manny? No.
Look, and here's the thing: Manchester United is a global. They're a global football club. There's millions of fans who probably share my same sentiment because they're not from Manchester, right? They're not from the area, so that's not going to get to them. That's not gonna pluck the heartstrings for them, right? They're looking at it from one perspective. We used to be better. We used to be the best, and because of the way we've been run, we're not the best anymore. And our next door neighbors are the best, and they spend more money than us. Who can we bring in to give us money to spend at least on their level? Because the only way you're going to compete with Manchester City in the modern day of football is you have to at least spend on their level and then ship out the ones that don't work on their level. And we've spent near their level, but then we hang on to those players and are forced to use them year on, year out when we know that they're not going to take us to the next level. City don't do that. And we need to be able to not worry so much about the losses. There
is, Brian, I will 100% agree with you, because I think there is a big underestimation from Manchester United fans in terms of our inability to let players go and how that affects what we do in the transfer markets, because we're holding on to all these ridiculous players and then we're forced to not really take enough action in the transfer market because the club's looking at it. Well, you've got 5 midfielders. Why are you asking us for money for a midfielder?
Yeah.
Why would we spend any more money?
And one of the bigger
we don't appreciate that enough, I think, as a fan base.
Yeah. And one of the bigger issues for me too is the reason that we're hanging on to these players, right? For one of the staples under Ed Woodward when he was in charge was adding a clause into each player's contract where the club could trigger a 1-year extension because it maintains the value of the player in the transfer market, right? Yeah. Oh, they have another year on their contract that we can activate, and suddenly they're not 24 months out from the end of their contract, right? They're 36 months out, and that we can get more money if we decide to sell them on. And you don't operate like that when you have money to blow. It's just like, how much? 20? Well, we care about getting rid of the player more than we do about getting money for the player, right? And Manchester United are running away financially that they have to balance those things because of the owners. Like, we have to make sure that we don't lose a ton of money on players, but then we end up losing money on players anyway, right? We spent 80 million on Paul Pogba and lost them for free. You know what I mean? Like, we end up losing the money anyway. So there's like, even the structure that the Glazers set under the club, they can't even maintain because of the way that they run the club. Yeah. So there has to be a significant change for me.
A question to you both: the way that Manchester United approach. So we've been taken over by whoever, Party A or Party B, whoever it is. The way that Manchester United approach the transfer window, are they approaching it? Buy players to win the Premier League next season, or are they approaching it, let's really put some life into this project and look at the long road ahead, rather than thinking we need to win the Premier League right this minute?
I think it's both. Because if you look at Arsenal last season, they was not in a situation where they're going to buy players to go on and challenge. So I think it's both. You just go for it, and if you fall short, you fall short, and then you go again next year, and then you add to that. But I think it's both. You can't just write off and say I'm going to buy players and not expect to challenge. If that makes sense. So we're always going to try and go for it. But I think it's both. We're going to be building, and with the owners thing, I've always looked at it like this: what's better for my football club? And to me, I've looked at all the options, just Qatar. I've looked at why. See the thing with links to the city, and he knows the area. I want to know, why is that good? Why is that a good thing? It might be a good thing to people personally, like so they feel like he's one of them. And
no, but this is what people are like.
I want to know, why is it good for my?
You care more if you have the right passport. Apparently, innit?
Apparently, you care more when you have a different.
That's just PR, man. But I'll be honest with you. Again, I don't care about the PR. Like even with the Sheikh Jassim and that, I'm like, yo, why don't you just match Radcliffe's bid? You've got more bread. Yeah. This idea that Qataris don't own companies where they've had to buy out strategically is a lie. PSG, by the way, are selling out strategically. So there's this myth and this lie. The Qataris have that. Not every single Middle Eastern country is the same, with the same agenda and same goal. Yeah. Excuse me. The Qataris, they're selling parts of PSG because they're making a profit. They bought the club for a couple $100 million. It's now worth over $1 billion. They sell 10% for a strategic party, with a strategic partner. If it's an American company who have a media base somewhere in LA or wherever, they want in on that.
Yep.
Give me 1 second. Sorry, I didn't want to burp on mic. So, like, this idea that they have to have their trophy football club, it's not true. It's not true. And one of the narratives Mike Keegan at the Daily Mail's been peddling is they don't want to overpay. It turns out that might be the case. Whether people like it or not, there's this, funny enough, positive stereotyping about Middle Easterns that Man United are banking on. If they want something, they just pay for it.
Yeah.
Oh, they're going to be embarrassed. No, you're talking about business here. If there are businessmen looking at them saying, you paid how much for that football club? Hold on, you don't get profit out of that club on an annual basis. When are you going to sell it for a profit in 15 years? Hold on, but your economy is based on your economy, you want to diversify and have better investments.
I'm happy they're reluctant. You
invested 6 billion of your government country's wealth in an asset that doesn't produce any cash on an annual basis. Like, people are so limited in their thinking. Qatar want to own a small piece of multiple football clubs. That's the reality. Yeah, they're more than happy to own 10% of 20 football clubs that are worth 35 billion. Yeah, they're happy to do that. Man United is not the be all and end all, despite what some people are saying. It really isn't. They have a number. I bet it's 6 bill, and that's all it is. And at that point, it's up to Joe Glazer. And the very first time I had this conversation, I said, nobody knows what Joe Glazer is thinking about when he's having a shower in his $1 million mansion. That's where the decision is coming down to what he's thinking when he's in the fucking shower. Like, that's the reality. Everyone thinks about what they're going to do with their life when they're having a shower. And the fate of Man United is in the hand of this slimy billionaire who, funny enough, you see Avram, don't you? Every time you see Avram, where's Joe? Where is he? Yeah, you're never going to see Joe. Nobody knows what Joe wants to do. That's what it is. And as far as I'm concerned, Jimmy, it is what it is. We have no control. People can blame fans. I've seen people trying to blame fans. Oh, you fans deserve this because you want this, the usual nonsense. We have no control. What will be, will be. What will be, will be. And to be honest with you, if Ineos outmaneuver the Qataris, they're proving they're actually competent when it comes to acquiring companies. And that is what it is.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Fair point.
Simple.
No?
The only way he could compete is shout out Joe Colo, Football Finance. Yeah. A higher premium if you sell minority stake and then you keep buying over time. Keep selling over time. That's how you get the most value for any asset, not a one-off sell. Shout out to Joe who tried to educate certain people on it, but they didn't want to listen in it. But listen, Jimmy, I want to get your thoughts on it before we go. Elza looks like he's having a neon party. So maybe it's my screen in it, but I'm seeing like bare different colors for Elza.
Nah, Elza's screen is changing.
Elza's having a neon.
I'm watching the game, you know.
He's having a party, man.
He's watching the match. He's watching the
girls
game
popping up as neon girl and all of that, man.
Maybe he was having a karaoke night. I don't know.
Nah, you know what it is? The walls are fresh white where I've been decorating, and the TV's quite big. It's just bouncing off the wall.
Look at him. The TV's quite whatever, man.
No, I'm just.
See, man, you see that subtle flex right there? Did you see that subtle flex, man?
No, it's not.
Hey, brother.
Let me turn it off.
But yeah, we're nearly at an hour and a half. So listen, shout out to everybody watching. Big up to Jimmy, first time hosting. Big up to Brian, always sensible with his thoughts. Big up to Elzo on the debut as well.
Thank you for having me, guys, man.
Elzo on the debut.
Natural. Jimmy, I'll let you wrap up, then I'll end the stream from my end here, innit?
Yeah, man. But no, I just want to say big up you guys, man. It's been nice. It's been a nice one still. Not too many personal agendas. So maybe we stuck to the title a little bit more this time. But no, Elzo, big up, man, for your first one. Big up, bless, man. That was really good. Brian, big up as usual, man. Good to see you. Everyone, all the listeners, please follow these guys. Elzo on Twitter. If you follow me, you can find Elzo on Twitter, on my Twitter. Brian, please go and follow Brian as well. Follow me. We do this every Monday. No Agenda podcast. We're going to keep it going. Danny's always finding interesting topics for us to talk about because my man's always controversial. So but big up, man. Everyone, all the listeners, appreciate you guys, man. Big up, bless.
Oh, one other thing as well before we dip. No Agenda extra time. Yeah, in 12 minutes. Twitter space, and we're talking about Sancho some more in it. So if you're watching it and you want to get in on that conversation, because we don't do we'll be in that space in at 8:45 in it, and we can unpack it there. But again, I couldn't be on camera today, so salute to these three generals there for holding me down while I couldn't be on camera, man. I appreciate it. With that being said,
Norridin as well. He came through in it. Norridin came.
Yeah. I spoke to Norridin. Shout out to Norridin as well. My bad. Let me shout him out on camera. Shout out to Norridin, man. But yeah, we're not. You ain't gonna find me and Norridin screaming on camera, man. It's not gonna happen, innit?
Nah. It's not good for anyone, brother. I'm not gonna lie to you. Still.
No, I'm joking. It is gonna happen. It's happening. We've done it on Saudi TV. It happens. But shout out to Norridin, these three generals, and we'll catch you guys on the next one. Yeah.
All right, man. Big up. Bless everyone.